The Raconteurs are a band who are known as the Saboteurs in Australia, and I don't know why that is the case. They're from the States. They're fronted by Jack White of White Stripes, and there are three other guys. Some of them have been in other bands, but I've not heard of the bands or the guys, so I've got nothing to say about that. They were formed in 2005. They've had a hiatus for a few years in the middle of that somewhere, and they've had 3 albums so far. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by the Raconteurs, and it's my first encounter with them. So I sometimes talk about my process that I usually use, so I'll do that quickly again. What I tend to do is I listen to an album, and particularly if it's something I don't know anything about, I'll deliberately not look up any information about the album or about the act before I have the first listen, so that I get a listen that's cold, as it were, so not influenced by anything that I know. It's a bit different, obviously, if I do know something about them already. Then I look up some information, and then I have a second listen, which is in context, because I've got the background. And this can help quite a lot with, I think, informing my opinions. So the first time I was listening through this, I didn't know anything about the band, and I was thinking, I kept thinking, the voice sounds really like somebody. Who's it from? Is it from somebody from, oh dear, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And one of the problems that I have sometimes is that I'm doing it, this reminds me of something. And sometimes it's just because I'm old and my memory starts to go, but sometimes I think it's a feature of the fact that I am speed dating so much music so quickly in order to do these reviews. So it didn't surprise me. I thought it reminded me of somebody. And then I read up the information about it, and I went, oh, right, of course. The reason why it sounds like something is because it's Jack White who's singing, and I have heard plenty of stuff by the White Stripes before, and I really like his voice. It's quite distinctive, and it is Jack White. It doesn't just remind me of him, it is him. Okay, right, let's have a bit of description then. I like to throw some of that in. It's varied rock. It's very varied rock, actually. So the first track, I would say, was quite blues rock. You've got bits of things that I would describe as being more of the art rock, somewhere kind of towards the singer-songwriter kind of things. There's some garage. It's no wonder that it's been hard to classify because it is pretty varied. I think the word rock probably appears more often than any other word. So let's just kind of say generally it's mixed rock. Okay. So definitely varied, definitely inventive. I love a lot of the music that's going on here. It's just well done, it's well constructed, it's well recorded, it's well produced, and musically I found it very infectious, and lyrically just curious and interesting. There's all sorts of good stuff going on here. So you'll be getting the impression that I like it. Yes, I do. I really like this album. And one of the reasons for me doing this mad undertaking of trying to review 3,000 albums, I'm nearly 10% through. Yeah, that's right. And the whole thing of starting to review in the first place was actually just because I wanted to expose myself to more music, to stuff that I hadn't heard of, to educate myself a bit. And these are the reviews where I feel really rewarded for that, because this is a great thing. I've never heard of the Raconteurs. I had no idea that Jack White was in another band. And I loved it. I'd say it's, in some ways, it's kind of like, I want to throw names like Klaxons and Arcade Fire and Killers and stuff like that. Kind of musically, it's like that kind of heavier end of the indie scene, but just in some ways I can't necessarily put my fingers on better. Generally, it's just I found it, I'm going to use the word again, engaging. I really enjoyed this album. Just even from the start, it just grabbed me, and so it's great. So there we go. That's what I think. I'd love to know your thoughts on this album, so please talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.